Here's an app that I built with Claude Code, starting with just one simple prompt. By the end of the video, you are going to learn how to build an app with Claude Code, connect a backend database, and set up user login, play it on the internet through Vercel. The first thing you need to do is download the Claude desktop app. You can also do this in terminal, but I think that the Claude app is easier to use, so that's what I'm going to use in this video. So you want to make sure that you are working in a brand new folder. So here I opened a folder called Tutorial Claude. So you just click that, open a new folder. We're going to use the Opus 4.6 model. You do have to be on a paid Claude plan for that. And then under the ask permissions, I'm going to say auto accept edits. And right now we can't bypass permissions unless we do it in the Claude settings, but I think auto accept edits is a nice middle ground between asking for certain permissions, but then accepting edits where necessary. A few things you should be aware of: if we do a slash, you're going to see a bunch of command here. So you can do a lot of different kind of preset things, such as compacting your conversation if it's really long. Not going to get into as much of that here. I just want you to get the hang of building your first app in Claude Code. And then there's more videos that are going to get into the more advanced things about Claude Code to take things to the next level. So I'm going to start off with a simple prompt. Let's build a simple app that helps people book tennis courts at their local courts. Start by building something I can test, and we can add a backend and authentication later. Start by just creating a plan. So I'm going to send that off. We're going to trust the workspace that I'm in, which is that folder that I created. And then here we're going to see Claude is entering plan mode. It might have done that on its own, but it's nice to just tell it start by creating a plan to ensure that it goes into a plan mode. So now it sees it's in an empty directory. It's a new project. It's going to ask me a few questions before designing it. So this is a nice feature that Claude Code has to help guide where it should go. So it's asking what tech stack, and it's recommending Next.js and React. I agree with that. For sample data, should we do hard-coded sample data before adding a backend? I'm going to say yes. Core features in the first version: weekly calendar view, day-by-day view, both views. I'm going to say day-by-day view. So it's going to continue building. Okay, so now it's going to design the plan. So it's just designing the plan. It's not actually going to be coding our app up quite yet. So it's giving us the plan. It's in a nice little UI so we can check it out. The tech stack, the implementation steps, and the verification. So I can edit it and tell Claude to do something else if I want, or I can just click approve Claude's plan and start coding. So I'm going to do that and let Claude start coding. I'm curious in the comments what you think. Like, if you're a beginner to this, you've only built with something like Lovable before, I'm curious if you think this feels accessible, or is this still kind of too complicated for something you would actually want to do? I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, though, so that anyone can follow this tutorial. Okay, so it's asking for permission. I'm going to allow, so it can run that command on our computer. And you can just allow as these commands come in. It's just asking basic commands to use React, and it's all inside of our folder. So it's not going to be loading things onto our computer outside of the folder that we've already given it permission to use. I think I can switch this to auto accept edits. I thought it was on there, but I guess it went back. So make sure it's on auto accept edits. All right, so it says it finished it and it's running on localhost 3001. If this doesn't happen, you can always ask it, hey, how do I run this locally? And it'll run a local server. So I just opened the link and this is my app. So Claude Code just built this for me. We can see again, this was all with sample data right now, but I can click through. I can click book a court, enter my name, click book, and now it's booked through me, which is cool. So pretty basic, pretty simple, but it works. And you can see if we go to the past, it's not going to show us time. So it has all of that done correctly as well. Okay, cool. So of course we can ask for more features. You can ask for as many features as you want. But what I want to do is add a backend database. Now, a lot of times I do this with Supabase, but I want to try Neon. This is a database I've been hearing about, and I want to see how well it works. So I'm going to say, great. Works well. Now I want to add a database and auth with neon.com. So I'm going to tell it exactly how I want to do it, what tool I want to use for backend and auth, and it's going to create a plan on how to actually implement this. So I'm going to say I want to use neon auth. Why don't I say I need setup instructions? I don't have a neon database ready. We can start doing that in the background. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new project. Can be court booking, and we will enable neon auth because I do want to have authentication through neon. Authentication is how people log in and sign up for your app. So I'm going to create that. Cool. So just spun up a database and 0.17 seconds. Really cool. I can click and see how it did it. That's actually really cool. I will say Supabase takes longer to spin up. Okay, so I can allow it to web search. And basically, this is going to allow Claude to research the documentations for Neon so it knows how to use it. Something else nice you should know about is while this is working, we could always open up a new session in the same folder and we could have a different session of Claude Code building a completely different feature than we are here in this session. So you can have it work at the same time. Okay, so now we have our plan for adding the Neon Postgres database for booking and the Neon auth. We have the dependencies, the schema, the booking tables, and then it's creating the database layer, the auth infrastructure, and has built out this entire plan. So I'm going to go ahead and approve it. And now we are going to have Claude Code actually build out the rest of the app and add the authentication and database. Plan approved. Before I start coding, I need your credentials. Have you completed it? So I'm going to say, yes, I have. I'll need to paste these 3 values, the connection string and the Neon auth base URL. I'll generate the cookie secret for us. Go ahead and set that up. I'll start on the code that doesn't need credentials in the meantime. So Claude went and created a bunch of files here to help us set up our full stack app. So now it's telling us exactly what we need to do. Go to Neon, create a project, make sure we enable Neon auth. So we did all that. And then we need to generate a cookie secret and paste our credentials into the .env file. So I actually wasn't sure what a cookie secret was, and I just asked it. So this is something that you should be aware of as well. If you ever are working with Claude Code or any AI model and you don't know what something is, just ask it and usually you'll get a good answer. So basically it's saying it just needs to be a random string. So I could run this in terminal, or maybe I can ask it to run it here and it'll generate a random string for me. And it's running this for me in the terminal. And then it's also saying we need the base URL and the database URL. So to get the auth URL, go into Neon. We want to click on auth down here. We'll click on configuration, and then the auth URL is right there. So we're going to copy that. So I just opened the folder inside of Cursor. Now, the reason that we have to use Cursor is the Claude app doesn't let us directly edit the code. So I'm opening it up in Cursor. So you can download Cursor and it's as simple as just opening the folder inside of Cursor. And you also don't have to use Cursor for this. You could use any editor or text editor or code editor that allows you to actually open the file, edit the code, and save it. So I like Cursor because it's easy to use. So that's the reason for it. And the reason that you don't want to paste your environment variables into Claude Code is that you don't want to directly paste secrets or sensitive data into the LLM because that's just not a very secure thing to do. So that's the reason we need to use Cursor here. But again, it doesn't have to be Cursor. It could be any code editor. So here we can see it already created this env file for us with that cookie secret that it created with that command. So now I'm going to paste in the database URL and the auth base URL. So we're going to get the auth here. I'm going to copy it and paste it in and save. And then the database URL, go to the dashboard, connection string, and then the database URL. If we go here, it's the connection string. It should be this. We're going to copy that and paste that in. So hopefully that works. We will test it out and see. So I've saved that env file, and an env file, if you're not familiar, is basically a file to hold your API keys and any secrets that you need to be secure. And it doesn't get exposed, basically. So that's what an env file is. Okay, it says it sees the credentials. It's going to run the migrations and see the database. So it should be actually creating tables in our database right now. So hopefully this works. And this is what transitions us from just a static application on your device to something that anyone can use and log into and have all of their data saved. Now, Supabase is another backend that you could use for this that I really like as well. So we're just going to allow Claude to do these tasks. And I can see now it's still working. I can refresh the tables tab here and we can see bookings and courts are now showing up. And it's seeding the database with some sample data. So we can see there's rows coming in here. So it's really cool is now our AI is creating the tables. It's doing the migrations. A migration is when you basically are making changes to the database. And now on the right side, we have the preview set up. And now on the top right, we can see there's this user drop down with sign in and sign up. And this is what we're going to test, because this is really the most important thing that we've been building, is just the ability for users to sign in, sign up, and have a full stack app. So let's click sign up and see if this works. We're going to click create an account. And now I'm logged in, set that nocode.mva. And now if we go back to the auth tab here in Neon, we can see set that nocode.mva has created an account, which is really cool. So we know that it's actually working. So if we go to Court 1, I can click book, and let's see if this actually saved in our database. So let's go to the tables. We'll go to bookings, and there we go. Court 1, booked by user ID, which is me. It pulled in the player name and the court and the user. So this is now working. We have a full stack app built with Claude Code and using the Neon database, which you can try out for free. And we have it working here on our local computer, on our local device. So the last step would be to actually publish this and deploy it so anyone on the internet can use it. And then, of course, we need to build a lot more features, which we could do with Claude Code. So what we're going to do is deploy to Vercel. Vercel is basically an easy way to host your code so that anyone can access it. But first, we need to commit our code to GitHub. So if you don't have a GitHub account already, you can create a GitHub account. It is basically just a way for your code to live in a cloud repository, so on the internet, as opposed to just on your machine. And then once it is in GitHub, we can connect it to Vercel and then host our app. So if you don't have a GitHub account created, you can create an account and then ask Claude Code to connect your Claude Code to your GitHub repo or to a GitHub account. Once it's connected, it can actually set it all up for you. So that's what it was just doing for me right now. It was creating a repository, which is where the code is. It's basically a folder inside of GitHub where all your code is. It pushed all that code to it. And then any changes in the future we make here on our local machine, we can push changes to the future in GitHub. And this is just a really great way to also just track changes in your app over time. You can roll back if there's any issues. It's just the best practice for developing. So this says the code is on GitHub. Now let's deploy to Vercel. So there's so much that Claude Code can just do for you if you just ask it to do it, which is kind of amazing. Now it's saying it's missing the environment variables for Vercel. I don't think that I've added my Vercel environment variables, which is like my passwords, into Claude Code. So I'm going to show you an easy way to deploy on Vercel once your code is in GitHub. So since this is already in GitHub, I don't have to worry about that step. And I guess it is possible that I could have it all do it from one command here. So we won't even need to go into the Vercel interface, which is just something interesting to think about, how as agents get better and better at using these platforms, as users, we don't need to go into the website and actually interface with it because the agent can do that. But in this case, I'm going to show you how to do it. If you're a beginner, it can be really helpful to know. So I'm going to add a new project here to Vercel, and it's connected to my GitHub already. So I can just click tennis booking and import and deploy. So it's connected to my GitHub. So because that code was deployed, I can just, or it was deployed to GitHub. So now I can easily in one click deploy it to Vercel. And once it's deployed on Vercel, we're going to have a URL that anyone can access. And then we can also add our own custom URL if you want as well, so that anyone in the world on the internet could access our app. All right, so this is actually an interesting example. So we're going to fix the error. So sometimes when you deploy, there can be an error that's preventing us from actually deploying our code. But the nice thing about Vercel is they'll give us error messages, and then we can go back to Claude Code and say, when I deployed on Vercel, I got this error. Paste that in, and it should be able to figure out what went wrong, make the improvement, and then we can redeploy. And here you can see, as I mentioned, when we make changes, it can push it to GitHub. So that basically fixes it and updates the code in the repository. And now it's building again. So we have it set up here in Vercel that every time we push to GitHub, to our main branch, it's automatically going to build a new deployment. Oh, there's actually one really important thing that I forgot to do, which is we have our env files locally, the database URL, the auth base URL, and the cookie secret, but I forgot to actually run it in Vercel. So we have to go to Vercel, we have to go to our settings, we have to go to our environment variables, and you have to add your environment variables here in Vercel because we're not pushing our environment variables to GitHub. We're ignoring them because it's not safe to put those secrets on GitHub. So instead, we are going to put them here in Vercel. So it's really simple. We just click add environment variables. You can add as many as you want at a time. And then we can go back to cursor where we have them, and I can just put them in really quickly. So the database URL, it's the same. You do need to make sure these match exactly, and then make sure you get the right fields here, and we'll go ahead and save them. And now we'll redeploy. So this should work. Okay, so this time it worked. It took 43 seconds to deploy. And if I click on this link, we are now on our app on the internet. So we went from an idea on Claude Code, it built it out, we tested it on our local machine, we connected it to a database and authentication through Neon, and it is now fully deployed on Vercel. So anyone can access it, anyone could sign up, sign in. It is all working live on the internet. So really cool. If you're a beginner, now you have the skills to use Claude Code to go from an idea to a real product. And you could also use these same skills to use a tool like Codex from OpenAI in a very similar way. Once you know how to use Claude Code, you'll know how to use Codex and vice versa. So I definitely recommend checking out both of them. But now, you have full control over your code. And I think that even understanding how this all works in the behind the scenes is going to help you with any AI builder you're using, even if it's something like Lovable. Click the link in the description to subscribe to our free AI newsletter. And if you watched this video, I think you'll find it really useful, and it's free to sign up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more free content just like this. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.